Hey everyone, Sky here to discuss Marshall, starring Chadwick Boseman, Josh Gad, Kate Hudson, Dan Stevens, Sterling Kane Brown, and James Cromwell, and directed by Reginald Hudlin. Now, I do remember going to movie theaters for this, and what did I think of it then? It's about to be the same as I think about it now. But to be granted, before I saw this movie, I never heard of Thurgood Marshall, but I hear he's a revolutionist after this movie. Just like Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I didn't know about her until I saw. Well, I just saw On the Basis of Sex in theaters, but I didn't see RBG until it was like on home viewing. So that's just my opinion of the courtroom stuff, and I do like them as a genre. It's just we'll see how this goes. Let's get into it. Based on a true story of Thurgood Marshall's mission in 1941 as a sole lawyer working for the National Association, for the advancement of colored people, as his job to defend people falsely accused of a crime because of their race. And we see Marshall, played by Chadwick Boseman, as he goes to work to save a man's life from going to prison, while we get introduced to Sam Friedman, played by Josh Gad, getting someone in prison. Excuse me. And I like the two main characters, and Boseman and Gad delivered great performances, and I love seeing them work great together. When we get to their scenes, which in my opinion makes this movie sing. And they do meet at one point at the train station in the beginning of this movie. After that scene, they meet Joseph Spell, played by Sterling Kane Brown, whom I reviewed 4 times. Black Panther, with also Chadwick Boseman, The Predator, The Angry Birds 2, and Frozen 2. And I've seen him in Hotel Artemis, and I like him. I really like his presence as he's accused by Eleanor Sturbing, played by Kate Hudson, for raping her. Thurgood and Sam represent him and get to know Joe's family before going to court with Eleanor and Judge Foster, played by James Cromwell, who tests Sam and Thurgood and treats them horribly, but accepts him into the courtroom as long as Thurgood doesn't talk whatsoever. And I do like James Cromwell, and his character is kind of a hard ass, but I enjoy his commanding presence even in bad movies like Spider-Man 3, for example. Thurgood and Sam check the reservoir where the crime was committed. As it shows, he threw Eleanor in the reservoir and throws a few rocks at her, and Kate Hudson is also good in this movie. I also like the scenery in this movie, as the cinematographer does a fantastic job shooting this movie. The first court begins, and it goes horribly as the judge is against them, and not Lauren Willis, played by Dan Stevens, who's better off playing a villain roles than Prince Charming, like Beauty and the Beast, for example, in that recent movie with Emma Watson, where he was in beast form for almost the whole film, but here he's pretty good. He's a pretty good villain character. I enjoyed the dialogue in this movie, as the writing is good, and particularly if anyone trying to be a lawyer can learn from Thurgood himself, as well as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who also just died recently. May she rest in peace. I like the arguments of courtroom movies as they go into details, which is legal and illegal, and I always like watching them for that reason. Thurgood and Sam get attacked, and Sam gets home and protects his family as Thurgood comes to Sam's house and tells Sam Joe had an affair with Eleanor, and Joe confesses he did it twice with her, and Thurgood interrogates Joe as he lied about it the first time. Then they go to the courtroom the next day, and Sam asks Eleanor questions about the night of the attack, brings Thurgood into tying Sam's mouth, to test how loud she could have screamed. And I love that scene for the energy by Chadwick Boseman, Josh Gad, James Cromwell, and Kate Hudson. It pulled the movie very well together. Next court, Joe says he noticed how sad Eleanor was, and he asked for money and to pay back someone for a card game, and she wants to keep her company. She wants him to keep her company, and have sexual intercourse, and tells the court she wants to leave in the car, and a cop pulls them over for racially identifying him as a black man, and Eleanor overreacts and jumps out of the car and jumps in the reservoir, and she says to everyone Joe raped her, and that's where we get the story in total. And Lauren asks Joe why he lied, and he confesses because the truth will get him killed, and Thurgood has to get another case in Mississippi and lets Sam take over the jury, just a jury verdict, as they say he's not guilty, and calls Thurgood about the good news, and it works very well, to be honest. Now it's time for the rating. I'll give this movie a 8.2 out of 10. I again enjoyed Chadwick Boseman as well as Josh Gad, but James Cromwell and Kate Hudson with their performances, and the scenes with Chadwick Boseman and Josh Gad sing the movie tremendously. And I had fun with their energy. I do like the scenery as well as the cinematography, as the movie was shot tremendously. And this is a good biography movie of law. So are the two Ruth Bader Ginsburg movies I watched recently. And I like this movie quite a bit. So yeah, I recommend you guys go see this thing. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for the Chadwick Boseman Rest in Peace era. And until next time, rest in peace, Chadwick. Rest in peace.